This video shows you how to create a Watson Studio project in IBM Cloud Pak for Data with Git integration enabled, so you can use JupyterLab to work with notebooks. The first step is to create an analytics project. In this case, create an empty project. Give the project a name and select the option to integrate the project with Git. You can select an existing Git integration personal access token or create a new token. Select your Git integration platform and then go to your GitHub account settings. In the Developer Settings section, you'll find the personal access tokens. Generate a new token and provide a descriptive name for the token. Select the repo scope and scroll down to generate the token. So there's the token, which you can copy to the clipboard. Back to creating the Watson Studio project, paste the access token. If you are using a GitHub Enterprise account, then you will also need to provide the GitHub domain URL. Lastly, provide a name for this token for your IBM Cloud Pak for Data profile settings. When you continue, you'll now be able to select the new token from the list. Next, you need the URL for the GitHub repository that you want to sync with this project. You can copy that from the main repository page. This should be a new empty repository. And paste that in here. After the URL is verified, you'll see a list of the branches in that repository. Notice the warning at the top of the screen indicating that the repository is not empty, and the files will be deleted. In this case, the repository contains only the starter README file, so there's no issue with deleting that. Lastly, check the option to edit notebooks only with the JupyterLab IDE and then create the project. Wait while the project is created. Next, you need to add the users to this project who will collaborate with you on the Jupyter notebooks. On the Access Control tab, you can add collaborators. Then select an access level of either editor or admin to allow collaboration using JupyterLab. Just search for the user. You can only add collaborators who are defined users in your IBM Cloud Pak for Data system. Then click Invite to complete the process. In Cloud Pak for Data, Samantha will get notified that she's been added to the project. You also need to add that same user as a contributor to your GitHub repository. On the Settings tab, you can manage access. Add a collaborator, search for the user's GitHub account, and invite the user. So now the user Samantha Darren has been invited to contribute to both the Watson Studio project and the GitHub repository. Samantha will be notified via email about the invitation to the GitHub repository, which she can just click to accept the invitation. When Samantha works in the Watson Studio project in Cloud Pak for Data, she'll see her access level on the Access Control tab. With editor access, she'll be able to work with notebooks in JupyterLab. And with admin access, she'll also be able to sync the Watson Studio project with the GitHub repository. To collaborate using JupyterLab in the Watson Studio project, each collaborator needs their own personal access token generated from their GitHub account and registered in their Cloud Pak for Data profile. In her GitHub account, Samantha navigates to Settings, Developer Settings, Personal Access Tokens, and generates a new token with the repo scope. Then she copies the token. Now when she logs in to Cloud Pak for Data, she can access her profile and settings. On the Git Integrations tab, she needs to create a new token. She keeps GitHub for the platform pastes the personal access token, provides a descriptive name, and clicks Continue. You are now both able to collaborate on the Watson Studio project and the GitHub repository. Let's first take a look at adding assets and syncing them to the repository. Browse to select a data file and wait for it to upload to the project. When that's done, sync the project with the repository by doing a pull and push. Select the asset to sync and the access token you used when creating the project, and then click Sync. Wait while the project and repository are synced. When it's done, the repository in GitHub contains the data asset that you added. You are now ready to launch the JupyterLab IDE to work in notebooks. You can start JupyterLab using the default environment or a custom environment if you have one. And again, select the access token you associated with this project when you created the project. When the JupyterLab IDE loads, you can see that there's a Project Data Assets folder, which contains any data assets uploaded to the project. There is also a Project Git repo folder, which contains the customer churn repository. The Assets folder contains the Data Asset folder and the JupyterLab folder. This is the folder where you need to create the Jupyter notebooks that you want to sync with the GitHub repository. Now create a Python notebook. First, rename the notebook to something descriptive. The pasted code shows some simple plotting. After you run the code, save the notebook. Now create another notebook which will access the airline data asset you uploaded previously. Again, rename the notebook to something descriptive. Then view the Files slide-out panel, and under the airline data file, click Insert to Code, Insert Pandas Data Frame. This code loads the data asset into a data frame and displays the first 5 rows. After you run the code, save the notebook. So the notebooks are now listed here in the JupyterLab folder, but at this point they only exist in your cloned repository. To replicate your new notebook to the repository on GitHub, go to the Git tab, locate the untracked changes to that folder, and stage the change. Provide a commit message and commit the change. Use the icons to either pull or push the latest changes. In this case, you want to push the changes. Meanwhile, Samantha can also be working in JupyterLab creating notebooks. And she can commit the changes to her notebooks. When you pull changes from the GitHub repository, you'll see the notebooks Samantha just created. And you'll be able to make changes to those notebooks and commit those changes. When that's done, go back to the project. Notice that there are no notebooks listed on the Assets tab. That's because they are currently only in the GitHub repository, but you can sync the changes in the repository with the project. Select the asset to sync and the access token you used when creating the project, and then click Sync. It recognizes that there are notebooks in the repository that are not in the project. Click Continue to pull the notebooks from the repository. When the sync is complete, you'll see the notebooks listed on the Assets tab. By syncing the Git notebook changes with the project, you update the common shared project clone to reflect what was last pushed to the branch of the GitHub repository you selected when you created the project. Find more videos in the IBM Cloud Pak for Data Learning Center.